Hello, Muskegon. I hope you're all awake. It's been a long day, but we've had some really great speakers. As a baby, I developed a rare form of retinoblastoma cancer, which resulted in my blindness. At that time, my parents were told that I only had a 3% chance of surviving. Thankfully, now children born with bilateral retinoblastoma only have a 3% chance of not surviving, so we've come a long ways. Due in part to the perseverance of my parents and of disability rights activists, I was able to attend regular classes with my sighted peers and graduated magna cum laude from Fruitport in 1987. That was a long time ago. You might be surprised, actually, to learn that at least 17.2% of Muskegon County residents have a disability. As a blind person, of course, I'm included in this statistic. However, today I'd like to tell you about a few statistics which mean a lot more to me. 11,668 Muskegon County residents have attained an associate's degree, of which I am one. There are 76,600 people employed in Muskegon County. I'm lucky to be one of those as well. There are 49,278 homes owned by Muskegon County residents, and one of them is mine. I don't really think of myself as a blind person, but simply as a person who can't see. I'm also a short person, or to be politically correct, a person who's vertically challenged. Though my lack of vision is somewhat more challenging than my lack of height, both can be sources of frustration, and many of the challenges imposed by both can be overcome. I overcome my stature impairment with step stools and some help from friends. I overcome my visual impairment in part with computers and some help from friends. I am neither proud nor ashamed of either my distance from the ground or my visual acuity, or lack thereof. I'm not grateful to be short, so I can avoid bumping my head on low-hanging branches, nor am I, as some have suggested, glad I don't have to see all of the ugliness in the world. I don't want to be an inspiration, either because I'm able to stretch high enough to reach the glass on the second shelf of my kitchen cabinet, or because I can dress myself without seeing. My point is, people with disabilities are just people, with their own unique set of challenges. I hope one day the rest of the world will learn to view my lack of vision the same way I do, as just another challenge like those we all deal with and overcome on a daily basis. Now, after I gave this speech last year at a Rotary Club, a well-meaning woman approached me to say, "Thank you for telling us how you live." Now, I was actually speechless, which, as my friends know, that doesn't happen very often. I couldn't figure out how someone after that speech could have only heard how I'm different. It was then that I realized that if I'm ever going to be able to get people to understand who I really am, I'm going to have to allow my outspoken personality free rein, so look out. I'm here today to say, as forcefully as I can, that I am a real person who is blind. I'm not fragile. I'm not a saint. I am not entitled to free handouts. I am entitled to be given a fair shake. My friends and family are not saints for loving me, at least not because of my blindness. I watch TV, I swear, I fart, I cry, and I have sex. Well, maybe not so much lately, but it's the principle. I'm not happy to be blind, but I'm happy enough being blind. Once in a while, the limitations imposed by my blindness really piss me off. But mostly it's just a part of life, like being bald or overweight or anything else we all deal with on a daily basis. Don't worry, I can't see you. Please, I beg you, try to think of me as a person who can't see, not as a person from another species. Now, lest you think I exaggerate, let me tell you a couple of stories from my life and those of my friends. My brother and I had purchased a home, and we'd lived there for about 4 months when my neighbor lady came and knocked on the door and brought me cookies, and I thought that was really cool. Thanks, awesome. So she asked me how I'm doing in my new house, and I told her it's great. And then she hesitated and asked the question she really came to ask. "Are you having any trouble finding the bathroom?" Now, after 4 months, I thought it would be obvious that I might have mastered that skill, but I curbed my sarcasm for once and just assured her that I was having no trouble finding the bathroom. What I really had wanted to say, though, was, well, I haven't really found it yet, so I've been pulling the couch out and squatting behind it. I didn't say that, though. My best friend, who's also visually impaired, went to the dentist and checked in with the assistant, who promptly yelled back to the dentist, "Talk loud, doctor, this one's blind." Now, aside from the obvious that her level of hearing had nothing to do with her vision, apparently HIPAA rights go out the window when you're disabled. I can understand that these people meant well, and I don't hold their ignorance against them. However, I think these two examples are a fair representation of how people with disabilities continue to be seen by society as other. I would ask you to treat me the same way you'd treat someone who's losing their hair or who weighs in excess of the amount society and the medical community feel is healthy for them. You wouldn't think of approaching someone who's balding, for example, to solemnly ask, "What happened to you?" But yet many people seem to think it's acceptable and even caring to approach someone who's a complete stranger with a disability to ask this question. Neither would you approach someone who's overweight to compliment them on their ability to maneuver themselves through narrow aisles without clearing shelves and tables. You wouldn't speak to a person who's shorter than you as if they were a child or assume their height has negative impact on their intellectual ability. You would not ask a balding man's companion about him in the third person as if he were not capable of answering for himself. Yet people with disabilities endure these experiences on a regular basis. It's my hope that you might remember my examples next time you feel self-conscious about meeting someone who has a disability or appears to be different than you. I don't know, maybe try picturing them having sex. And don't feel bad when the image makes you laugh or piques your curiosity. Either reaction is better than those I've mentioned. Of course, I understand totally if you're afraid you're going to say something stupid. Everybody is. But if you treat me the same way you would anyone else, I promise not to make you feel dumb if you accidentally forget and ask, "Did you see that?" In fact, when you make mistakes like that, I feel proud because it means that just for a moment, you forgot to think of me as different. Thank you.